Tonight on News at 9, Cabinet reshuffle. After much speculation, 10 ministers get new ministries. Mangala gets finance and media, while Ravi is the new foreign minister.
First at 9. This is Other Derana 24/7.
Also tonight, another strike. GMOA goes on a 24-hour token strike. Health Ministry says it's unsuccessful. Local government elections. Election Commission Chairman Mahinda Deshapriya says polls can be expected in September. In sports, Mumbai Indians clinches IPL 2017. And in international headlines, US President Donald Trump lands in Israel in his second leg of his first international tour. Good evening, live across Sri Lanka. This is Other Derana 24/7. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Tonight we begin with the cabinet reshuffle, where after weeks of speculation, the first reshuffle of the National Unity Government took place today, with cabinet portfolios being changed and a new state ministerial post being created. While calling all ministers to show friendship to one another and work to uphold collective responsibility, President Maithripala said the reshuffle will provide impetus to Sri Lanka's development. With reshuffle, 9 cabinet ministers and 1 state minister were sworn in.
All cabinet ministers, deputy ministers and state ministers of the National Unity Government were convened at the Presidential Secretariat this morning. With President Maithripala convening a meeting with all ministers this morning, the much-anticipated cabinet reshuffle got underway. With the reshuffle, 9 cabinet ministers and 1 state minister were sworn in before President Maithripala Sirisena. According to the cabinet reshuffle, Mangala Samaravira, who held the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, was sworn in as the new Minister of Finance and Mass Media. Former Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake took oaths as the new Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mahinda Samarasinghe, who was earlier the Minister of Skills Development and Vocational Training, was appointed Minister of Ports and Shipping. Arjuna Ranatunga, who held the Ministry of Ports and Shipping, was sworn in as the new Minister of Petroleum Resources Development. Former Minister of Petroleum Resources Development Chandima Virakuri took oath as the new Minister of Skills Development and Vocational Training. Former Minister of Parliamentary Reforms and Mass Media Gayantha Karunatilaka was sworn in as the new Minister of Lands. He will continue to hold the portfolio of parliamentary reforms. Labour and Trade Union Relations Minister WDJ Senaviratne was given the additional portfolio of Sabaragamuwa Development. Minister of Social Empowerment and Welfare SB Disanayake was given the additional portfolio of Candian Heritage. Tilak Marapana, who resigned from his ministerial portfolio of Law and Order in 2015, was sworn in today as Minister of Development Assignments. Minister Mahinda Amaravira was sworn in as the new State Minister of Mahaveli Development in addition to his ministerial portfolio of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Development. Following the appointments, President Maithripala Sirisena said the cabinet reshuffle will provide new impetus to Sri Lanka's development. The President also called all ministers to work together in order to uphold collective responsibility towards the country.
Now, following the appointments, ministers expressed their views regarding the newly appointed ministers.
I was the Minister of Mass Media earlier, but now I have a ministry that allows me to work for the entire country. The Ministry of Land affects the masses. I have worked with Mangala Samaravira for a long time. I can go a long way with anyone. No, I'm the most junior Deputy Minister in this cabinet. We should work with what we are given. I intend working well with Minister Ravi Karunanayake. This is a good reshuffle. We are happy about that. The President Maithripala mentioned in his speech that some changes will take place in deputy and state ministerial portfolios. He also said that there will be changes in duties. Those changes will take place within the next few days. The change is good. There are no problems. New life has been given to the government. The Prime Minister and the President took this decision jointly after discussion. We respect their decision. A reshuffle should be done after 2.5 years. That is what happened. There was opinion in the country for change, and that has happened. This has not put anyone down. Nobody should be unhappy.
President Maithripala Sirisena will leave for Australia tomorrow on a 3-day state visit. At the invitation of Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, President Sirisena's visit aims at promoting more investments from Australia to Sri Lanka. The development of bilateral trade will also be focused. Several agreements on developing bilateral cooperation are slated to be signed during the visit. This year, Sri Lanka and Australia mark 7 decades of diplomatic relations between the two countries. In other local stories, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that it is impossible to develop a country when both the President and the Prime Minister exercises executive powers. The former President was responding to questions raised by the media after attending a public gathering in Chilao last evening.
This government is inconsistent despite having a 2/3 majority in Parliament. They have taken opposition powers too and given titles and positions to those who have worked for them at the last election. Even in such a situation, the government is unsteady. It is impossible to develop a country when both the President and Prime Minister are trying to exercise executive powers. The country will degrade. I'm disappointed to watch the country being destroyed.
Now in one of our headline stories, speaking exclusively to Derana, the chairman of the Election Commission said that if the Local Government Elections Amendment Act is approved by the end of July, the Commission hopes to conduct elections in September this year.
We have everything. We are ready to conduct the election. But if there is no proper ground, we can't play the match. This ground must prepare by the Ministry of Local Government. The rules and regulations must be decided by the Parliament. They have to prepare the laws and regulations. After that, we can conduct. But we have powers to conduct the election. We have more powers than Election Commissioner or the department, but only with the election period. We can say at least before 30th of June, we can't pass this act. I think this is the earliest date we'll get. The act is June 30th. If we have the act in 1st of July, we need minimum 2 months, 75 days actually. And at any cost, we will not have the election in month of August. We can have the election in September 2007. But Election Commission, we don't want to delay any election. The problem is, it was not a full-time committee. If there was a full-time committee and the full support of staff, they could have finished it within 3 months or 6 months. Unfortunately, this delimiting committee, they gave a time period to finish, but they did not have enough staff. Now, we have National Delimitation Committee after 19 amendment, but still they don't have TOR.
Welcome back everyone. On to business news rather. Sri Lanka's nationwide inflation declined to 8.4% in April from 8.6% recorded in March 2017 on an year-on-year basis. The Department of Census and Statistics reported that the NCPI for all items for the month of April 2017 increased by 13% to 121 from 119.5 in March 2017. This monthly change was due to the increase increases of expenditure value of food items by 123% and non-food items by 0.04% respectively. The moving average inflation for the month of April 2017 is 6.0%. The corresponding rate for the month of March in 2017 was 5.6%. In other business stories, with the introduction of GSP Plus, one of the main challenges highlighted by many exporters is meeting the high volume of demand from the EU market. Speaking to Ada Derana, chairman of the Sri Lanka Apparel Exporters Association, Felix Fernando says the country now needs to look into taking necessary measures to meet with this challenge.
According to the 2015 CBSL report, export earnings from garments to the EU market declined significantly by 12.5% in 2015. Furthermore, statistics show a total loss of $782 million was experienced between the years 2008 and 2016 due to the loss of GSP Plus. The chairman of SLAEA also highlighted that in 2016, Sri Lanka exported $2.7 billion worth of products to the EU, out of which $1.6 billion were apparel, contributing significantly to exports.
So the best opportunity we are looking at is to expand the current factories, and also SME sector will play a bigger role. And also we are looking at to find new buyers and new countries. We need to grow up with our capacities as well as efficiencies, and we need to add to our basket more value-added apparels.
As part of matching supply to demand, the association says that the apparel industry is looking into entering into a pact with Asian countries to import the necessary fabric needed to cater to increasing demand.
Certainly Sri Lanka is not able to produce and supply all the fabric we need to cope up with the demand. So if you can get this ASEAN countries accumulation going, that will be a big benefit for the country.
According to the Sri Lanka Export Development Board, the second largest buyer of apparel in the market is the United Kingdom, generating over $800 million in revenue to the country last year. The Apparel Exporters Association's chairman also commented on the effect of Brexit on the apparel industry.
So with the UK's the Brexit, we are worried. But again, the good news is that UK has promised that they are going to continue the same trade facilities, the same benefit, the same duty concession, even if they are out from the EU, and once the Brexit is on, so we'll be still able to enjoy this facility.
Onto the stock market now. The Colombo bourse today witnessed a lackluster trading session as investors booked profits in selected stocks. Indices ended in losses due to price losses in counters such as Commercial Bank, John Keells Holdings and People's Leasing and Finance, whilst turnover fell to a low of 335 million rupees. Meanwhile, foreign remained active, closing as net sellers of 31 million rupees, mainly due to foreign selling in Hatton National Bank. Foreign investors actively accounted for 37% of the turnover. Here is Meshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange with more.
The benchmark all-share price index lost 2.76 points to close at 6,726.9, while the S&P Sri Lanka 20 index lost 15.79 points to close at 3,828.89. Market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,975.79 billion rupees. Top 5 gainers were PC Pharma, SNB Leasing non-voting, Adam Capital, Haris Chandra and Citrus Leisure. The top 5 losers were PC House, Blue Diamonds non-voting, Amanata Kaful, Sink Industries and Anilana Hotels.
The rupee weakened on dollar demand from importers and was seen easing further. Rupee forwards were active with spot next forwards trading at 152 rupees to 95 cents or 153 rupees per dollar compared with Friday's close. Here's a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies during the day today. Into international markets now, Asian stocks posted their biggest daily rally in a month today following US President Donald Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia and the prospect of a week without economic indicators due. Investors are hoping for a period of consolidation after a series of political controversies in the US rattled markets last week.
Japan's Nikkei 225 average gained 0.45%, with Australia's ASX and South Korea's Kospi both gaining close to 0.7%. The Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong gained 0.86%, but Shanghai was the only major exchange to trail in Asia, with the SE Composite losing 0.48%. Meanwhile, oil prices rose today, bolstered by confidence that top exporters will agree to extend supply curbs this week, with suggestions the cuts could even be deepened. Brent crude gained 48 cents to $54.09 a barrel, with US light crude up 47 cents at $50.80 a barrel. Both benchmarks have climbed more than 10% from lows earlier this month.
Welcome back everyone. In one of our headline stories, the Government Medical Officers Association engaged in a token strike across hospitals island-wide from 8 a.m. today. Emergency services, maternity hospitals, cancer hospitals, children's hospitals, the army hospital and kidney treatment units at hospitals, however, did not participate in the strike.
The Government Medical Officers Association said the token strike was carried out against the attack on the recent university students' protest against CITEM and the subsequent arrest of students. The GMOA also cited the lack of action taken over the hand grenade attack on the Sri Lanka Medical Council premises and the lack of a proper investigation into complaints filed on the granting of permission for CITEM to utilize government hospitals. Patients who visited government hospitals today were seen inconvenienced due to the strike action. Several patients spoke to Ada Derana at the National Hospital in Colombo.
CITEM is not an institution which was started recently but several years ago. They should have protested and stopped it back then. This is very wrong. This is an issue that should be solved by the government. Doctors have taken control and it is very wrong. The strike is good. Even though patients are inconvenienced by this, there needs to be a solution. The minister should take responsibility for this. CITEM should be abolished to solve this issue. The lives of patients are in danger because of this.
Meanwhile, Deputy Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinghe expressed views on the strike.
Due to the doctors' strike, the outpatient department didn't function today. Most clinics also didn't function today, but some did. Emergency surgeries and surgeries which were on waiting lists were carried out by the doctors. Intensive care units and emergency services were implemented as usual.
Our reporters also noted that several hospitals across the country took part in the token strike. Meanwhile, the Government Medical Officers Association organized a protest march starting from the Supreme Court in Halsdorf to the National Hospital in Colombo today. The Inter-University Students' Federation and several trade unions participated in the march. Convening a media briefing, the GMOA revealed decisions that were taken by its Central Committee.
Our Central Committee heavily criticized politicians who did not respond to this issue. That is the main reason for extending the 4-hour strike to 24 hours. There is a meeting of trade unions on the 29th of this month. The Executive Committee will decide the next move of the trade union collective.
Meanwhile, issuing a media communique, the Ministry of Health, Nutrition and Indigenous Medicine stated that there were only a few disruptions to outpatients departments in hospitals island-wide and the other medical services of hospitals were carried out as usual.
The Special Crimes Unit of the Mirihana Police has arrested 3 suspects who aided and abetted the main suspect of the recent shooting incident in Piliyandala. The suspect, a 44-year-old woman and 2 men in their 20s, were produced before the Magistrates Court in Caspava and remanded till the 5th of June.
The attack on a police narcotics bureau team took place on the 9th of May and the incident resulted in the death of a PNB official and a little girl a few days later. Police Constable Chamindabe Wikrama succumbed to his injuries upon admission to the Kalabowila Hospital, and 11-year-old Ransika Pathirana, who was being treated in the ICU of the Colombo South Teaching Hospital, died on Friday. Police headquarters said that the main suspect has already been identified and an operation to arrest him is underway. 3 individuals arrested in Ahangama yesterday have been charged for aiding and abetting the main suspect. Meanwhile, Ransika Pathirana's funeral took place this evening in Piliyandala.
On to sports news now. International cricket will return to the Mahinda Rajapaksa International Cricket Stadium in Suryabawa, Hambantota, with the decision to host games in the upcoming Zimbabwe tour of Sri Lanka in June. The 3-match will be played during the tour on the 6th, 8th and 10th of July. Visiting the stadium premises, President of Sri Lanka Cricket, Thilanga Maithripala, said currently basic maintenance and utilities of the stadium cost the Sri Lanka cricket approximately 18 million rupees annually, despite not generating any income.
President of Sri Lanka Cricket, Thilanga Maithripala, along with the members of SLC Executive Committee, inspected the Mahinda Rajapaksa International Cricket Stadium in Suryabawa to ascertain its current status. Earlier this week, the SLC Executive Committee decided to invest in renovation and repairs to the stadium, and the venue is expected to host 3 ODI matches of the forthcoming Zimbabwe tour of Sri Lanka in July.
A cricket venue needs to be used at least 150 days out of the year. Only then can we build side pitches and maintain the stadium. This stadium is now a white elephant, so we have made provincial residences 20 minutes from here so that teams from Colombo can come and play 3-day games. Without playing international games here, we cannot maintain this stadium, which is why we have moved 3 of the 5 games of the Zimbabwe tour to Suryabawa. We have also provisionally decided to host the 4th game of the India tour later this year, based on the success of those games.
Now, Kumar Sangakkara scored twin centuries for Surrey at Lord's in a county championship Division 1 clash with Middlesex across the weekend. Taking his first-class tally is now 20,000 runs. Sangakkara scored his centuries following the unveiling of his portrait in the pavilion at the Reverend Lord's Cricket Grounds.
Kumar Sangakkara was present at Lord's for the unveiling of the portraits of himself and Mahela Jayawardene, who was in India helping the Mumbai Indians lift the IPL trophy. The portraits were commissioned by the MCC, recognizing the 2 Sri Lankans as modern-day legends of the game. Sangakkara scored 114 in the first day of the match, helping Surrey to 313 in their first innings, and was dismissed earlier today in their second innings for 120. The left-hander's second century was his 60th in first-class cricket and took him past the 20,000 run mark in domestic long form.
Making headlines across the world, the Mumbai Indians won the Indian Premier League title with a thrilling 1-run win over the rising Pune supergiant in last innings final in Hyderabad. Mumbai, who topped the league table, prevailed despite having taken the long way round to the final, being forced to beat Kolkata in the second qualifier on Friday after losing to Hyderabad in the first qualifier.
Having won the toss, Mumbai chose to bat first but were only able to score 129 runs in their 20 overs. Mumbai lost 8 wickets in their innings, Krunal Pandya top scoring with a 38-ball-47, rescuing Mumbai from 79 for 7. The supergiant were excellent with the ball, with Jaidev Unadkat, Adam Zampa and Daniel Christian all picking up 2 wickets, while Washington Sundar conceded just 13 runs off his 4 overs. In reply, Pune skipper Stephen Smith scored 51 at number 3, but holdout of compatriot Mitchell Johnson in the last over, with his team needing 7 runs off 4 deliveries. With Pune then needing 7 off 3, Johnson only conceded 5, picking up 3 wickets in the innings as Mumbai won the 2017 edition of the IPL by just a single run.
A bit of football news now. Major football leagues around the world came to a close last night, with Real Madrid taking La Liga title in Spain and English side Chelsea being presented with the Premier League trophy.
Real Madrid claimed the La Liga title for the first time in 5 years with a 2-0 win over Malaga. The squad celebrated their victory with thousands of fans in the early hours of this morning, parading the trophy on an open bus journey through Madrid. At Stamford Bridge, English champions Chelsea were presented with the Premier League title, which they had secured in round 35.
38 games, 30 wins.
With Tottenham safe in second, Manchester City and Liverpool secured the last 2 available Champions League spots with final day wins, relegating Arsenal to Europe's second tier for the first time in 20 years.
And that is it, that is top 4 seal for Jurgen Klopp. Look what it means to him, he knows it.
On to international news now. The Japanese government says that it is determined to impose its own sanctions on North Korea atop of existing United Nations sanctions in a move to curb what is called the reclusive state's continuous provocations.
We cannot accept North Korea continuing its provocative behavior. We believe it's important to curtail Pyongyang's foreign currency revenues and to block the freight shipments and the transfer of technologies related to nuclear weapon development.
The South Korean military confirmed that the missile was of the Pukguksong-2 class and flew about 500 kilometers, reaching an altitude of 560 kilometers and landed in waters of North Korea's east coast. South Korea's defense ministry said today that North Korea appeared to have secured meaningful data from yesterday's test. North Korean state media said its supreme leader Kim Jong-un supervised the test, which verified the functioning of the solid fuel engine for the Pukguksong-2 missile and ordered it for deployment in field action.
Making international headlines, US President Donald Trump arrived in Israel today as he continues a first foreign trip to the Middle East before visiting the Vatican and then Europe to call on key NATO allies. In an address upon his arrival in Israel, Trump reiterated the unifying note that he struck in yesterday's address to Arab leaders in Saudi Arabia, saying that peace in the region could only be achieved working together.
US President Donald Trump and his wife Melania were welcomed at Ben Gurion Airport by Israeli President Reuven Rivlin and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
We have before us a rare opportunity to bring security and stability and peace to this region and to its people, defeating terrorism and creating a future of harmony, prosperity, and peace.
Israel also shares the commitment to peace that you expressed yesterday, and Israel's hand is extended to peace, in peace, to all our neighbors, including the Palestinians. The peace we seek is a genuine and durable one, in which the Jewish state is recognized. Security remains in Israel's hands, and the conflict ends once and for all.
Well, that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. Our news at 9 will return tomorrow with Hindi Variamuatha. Be sure to join us then. I'm Mahish Johnny, and we like to leave you with visuals from New York, where the greatest show on earth took its final bow in front of a sellout audience in last night, ending a 146-year legacy. Having begun with 19th century showman P.T. Barnum, the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus bid adieu in a series of shows on Long Island this weekend. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.